Berlin airlift? Okay, so right after World War II, right? Soviets still like allies, right? But Germany gets split up into 4 separate quadrants. America, French, Britain, and the USSR all own a chunk of Germany, right? And then Berlin, the capital of Germany, also same thing. Everybody owns a chunk. But Berlin is 100 miles into USSR territory. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so America pisses off the USSR, vice versa, whatever. Basically, capitalism's winning and communism's getting fucking butthurt about it.
As usual.
So communism is like, you know what? No, we're going to blockade off West Berlin. So they block it off so that we can't get anything in. They cut off all the roads, all the railroads, all the waterways, everything. And at that point, so they go to Truman and they're like, okay, 3 options. We can roll in tanks and start World War III. We can abandon West Berlin and let them either starve to death or join communism, or we can try to fly shit in on cargo planes. And he's like, quote, we stay in Berlin, period. And America, this isn't a real quote, but basically like America doesn't start world wars, we just finish them. So we're fucking flying shit in on planes, right? So they have no idea how to do this. So they go to the British because they've been experts in rationing for the last 10 years fighting World War II. The British run the numbers and they're like, you need, everybody in West Berlin is going to need 1,700 calories a day, which is going to be 1,500 tons of food per day. And then the Germans, or the USSR cut off the power to West Berlin too. So they're going to need coal and fuel. That's going to be 2,500 tons per day, right? So you're talking 4,500 tons of supplies a day through cargo plane. And at this time they had the P-47, which could only carry 3 tons. Like, this is impossible. So that would, like, to make that work, that's 1,333 planes per day. There's 1,440 minutes in a day. Like, it's impossible, right? So they just start doing it. It's complete fucking chaos. They're sending planes from everywhere. There's fucking mid-air collisions as they're trying to get planes into this fucking country for food, or into West Berlin for food. And then they bring in General William Tunner, and this was a guy in World War II that was in charge of logistics for bringing in all the supplies into China over the Himalayas. And he comes in and unfucks the whole situation in like days.
With 7 Sherpas.
Anyways, America, there's 3 air channels into Berlin. He's like, okay, 2 of them on the outside are going in. The one in the middle is planes coming out. We're going to launch 1 plane from the 2 going there every 3 minutes. They're all going to fly at 5 altitudes, and they're going to stagger every way. So it's plane, 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 all day long, 3 minutes, new fucking plane in the air. All day, every day, 24 hours a fucking day. The West Berliners are like, dope. They get it down to where they can empty 3 tons off a plane in 7 minutes and turn that bitch around and send it back. Luftwaffe mechanics that were just fighting America 2 years ago they're repairing American cargo planes to send them back. And America does it. We end up developing fucking bigger planes. We end up developing the P-74 Globemaster, which can carry 25 tons. So we end up fucking delivering, I think the record was 1,300 flights, delivering 13,000 tons in a single day. Over the course of 15 months, America had 277,000 planes get sent up, spanning 92 million miles, delivering 4.6 billion pounds of supplies, all by air. And the Soviet Union finally had to ditch the blockade because America put an embargo on their country, and their economy couldn't stand up to the embargo anymore. And they just couldn't wait it out. So they had to ditch that. And this is like why the Berlin Wall ended up happening, is because they couldn't get West Berlin to crack, because America could land a plane in Berlin literally every fucking minute, all day, every day. And we did it for 15 months. And it is the biggest logistical flex of all time.
Oh, man.
Coca-Cola was invented by a Confederate colonel that got a saber wound in the Civil War, got addicted to morphine, and he's like, I got to cure my morphine addiction. So he started drinking coca wine from France, which was cocaine and wine, but he's like, it's just not hitting hard enough. You know what it needs? Caffeine. It's a cola nut and coca leaves, Coca-Cola,
We're chopped a little more.
is where it comes from. So he just mixed together caffeine, wine, and cocaine and started drinking. And he's like, I don't feel like doing morphine anymore because I can't feel my face.
Holy shit.
So,
So happy!
so he starts producing it, and then like 6 months later, Fulton County in Atlanta is like, we're banning alcohol, so he has to switch over to carbonated water, but it tastes like shit, so he just adds a bunch of sugar instead and keeps selling it as medication. Then he dies, sells it to a pharmacist, and the pharmacist is like, we're going to market this as soda. So the pharmacist goes to all of his pharmacist buddies in Atlanta and gets the list of every person getting a medication from the pharmacy and starts sending out free coupons for cocaine sugar water. He's like, everybody loves this shit.
No way!
It's not just me.
Yeah, they can't get enough of it.
So he starts they start making a bunch of money. He like diverts a bunch of the money into advertising, so he becomes like the predominant coca wine salesman or whatever. And this goes on from like 1880s till like 1904. And in 1904, the U.S. government like really cracks down on cocaine. And the reason the U.S. government really cracks down on cocaine is mostly racism. I tracked down the actual New York Times article, which I'm not even going to say the title of.
It said the word, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
With the O at the end.
The O at the
With
end.
the O at the
It's
end.
probably the O at the
With
end.
the O at the end, and
It's
then the
still not
word
good.
fiend.
Free. That's probably the
And that
worst
was how
part.
they referred to them for the rest of the very racist article.
Frijoles, what?
Fiends. The article goes on to explain in detail about how local law enforcement is under the impression that when a person of color does cocaine, they become impervious to bullets.
Terminator.
And this was the driving factor that outlawed cocaine in the U.S. So cocaine gets banned. They take the cocaine out and just add more sugar and keep selling it. And then World War II rolls around, but because they had, in the 1920s, they associated themselves with Santa because they're like, what if we just get them hooked on sugar when there's two? So like all the people that fought in World War II loved Coca-Cola. So when all the rationing was going on, sugar was one of the main things that was rationed. So they're like, we're necessary. You shouldn't ration us. And they're like, yep, that adds up. So Coca-Cola was like the only soda that wasn't subjected to sugar rationing.
I wonder how much Coca-Cola donated to certain senatorial campaigns.
There was a lot of that also.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Here's
Always
where,
is.
Here's where it gets super sketchy. Not only did Coca-Cola do that, Coca-Cola then comes around and is like, we're supporting the troops so much that we're going to guarantee that any troop, no matter where he's at on the globe, can buy a cold Coca-Cola for 5 cents. They were losing money for every soda sold, but in exchange, they turned around to the government and was like, hey, it's really expensive when we're only bottling in the U.S. What if we used government tax dollars to create 65 bottling plants all over the globe? And they did it. And the U.S. taxpayer paid for 65 new Coca-Cola bottling plants. So the troops were going around giving out Cokes to all the locals, basically crowdfunded Coca-Cola's global expansion during World War II.
man.
And while this is going on, Hitler's favorite drink was Coca-Cola prior to 1941 when they declared war on the U.S., right?
His second favorite was liquid methamphetamine.
This is true.
And it's just the old Coke.
The way Coke's business worked was they
probably
would
able to
make
get
the
some.
syrup concentrate, and they would just ship the concentrated syrup to the bottling manufacturers, and they would mix it with carbonated water and bottle it. So they couldn't ship the concentrate over to Germany anymore because there was an embargo, but there was still Coca-Cola bottling plants in Germany. They just couldn't get the concentrate anymore. So the German Coca-Cola guys were like, well, fuck, we're going to make our own soda out of like scraps of fruit and apple cores and orange peels and shit. And then that's where Fanta comes from.
So Hitler really did create Fanta.
Hitler
Yeah, that's
literally
the thing.
created
Yeah.
Fanta. It gets worse.
Oh,
So the way I
there's
frame
more.
the video is Coca-Cola is the biggest psyop of all time. It went from marketing into the territory of psyop. So like they already co-opted Santa Claus in the 1920s, right? They go through World War II. They're immensely popular with the boomer generation or baby boomer generation because they were like, that was the one cold drink I got while I was away at the war. This shit's awesome. They
instilled
supported
into
the
them.
troops.
Is Santa a Nazi?
No.
He's really not hitting on
Santa's
like Santa is how you picture
very
Santa.
American.
Red, all that is Coca-Cola. They marketed
Coca-Cola
Santa.
marketed.
how they
Coca-Cola created Santa?
Yes.
Oh, holy
Not created
shit.
Santa, but they created like
The image.
they
of-
created a significant
Santa that
portion
we
of the
know,
modern
yes.
image
Yeah.
of Santa. Yeah. In the 70s,
How do you think he goes to all the houses in the middle of the night?
The entire northern half of the globe no longer has copper. These are real Christmas. distance. Why does the waterworks?
My kid got a toy, and now my car is loud as fuck. So in the 70s, all the studies were coming out being like, maybe children drinking sugar water is bad for them.
No way.
And they got really strict on how you can target kids in advertising. So Coca-Cola is like, we won't target kids with advertising. We're just going to make a bunch of fucking toys with Coca-Cola and convince everybody that polar bears are friendly and dick off in the northern hemisphere and drink Coke and Santa Claus and everything else. But they wanted to take it a step further. So in 1982, they bought Columbia Pictures, the entire movie studio, for $750 million.
Which at the time, Columbia, that was one of the the biggest movie studio.
The one. So every drink in every Columbia Movies picture from the 80s has subliminal ad placements in it. In The Karate Kid, he's drinking Minute Maid orange juice at breakfast, which is owned by Coca-Cola. He drinks a Sprite while Mr. Miyagi's training him, and it's like a whole thing where Ralph Macchio was protesting all these subliminal ad placements and covered up the Sprite logo with his hand completely. Coca-Cola made him refilm the scene.
Holy shit.
No shit.
It was so well known in Hollywood in the 1980s. Clint Eastwood refused to let any Coca-Cola products in any of his movies because he was mad that they cast Ralph Macchio instead of his son as the Karate Kid. And he blamed Coca-Cola for it. Like the Ghostbusters, you got to win a free Ectomobile if you drank enough Coke. All the 1980s movies
He's like,
is a giant Coca-Cola psyop.
I was there for that.
All of it.
Damn.
Today we're talking about the nuclear manhole cover. Basically, there's these scientists, they're doing experiments, and they're basically dropping nukes in the desert in Nevada, and they're exploding them in the atmosphere, and the people near that area, understandably, were like, hey, what if we didn't detonate nukes 60 miles from my fucking house? You know, I'm kind of concerned for the health reasons, and the government's like, don't worry, we've done the research, you're fine. Hint, they weren't. They're called downwinders. They got paid a lot of money by the government because a lot of them fucking died. But regardless, the government's like, no, you're fine. And they're like, I still don't trust you. And the government's like, fine, we'll quit detonating nukes in the atmosphere. And they're like, and in the desert. And they're like, fine, and in the desert. And in the ocean. Fine, we'll quit detonating nukes in the ocean too. So the government's like, okay, here's the plan. We're not going to lie. We're going to dig a big hole and detonate them underground. What could possibly go wrong? Nothing could possibly happen. So they dig I believe it was 500 feet deep hole, and they took a nuclear warhead, and they wanted to test the safety mechanisms to make sure that they were going to function properly, allegedly. So they bury this nuke, and then they stick a 2,000-pound slab of concrete on top of it with a hole, and they detonate it. And fucking straight blue flames launch 800 feet into the fucking sky, and they're like, huh, neat. So tomorrow they're like, we should try it again. This time we'll put a manhole cover on top of it.
Let's do it again. This time we're drinking.
So they go back the next day, same size nuke, and they put a 2,000-pound slab of concrete on top of it again. Then they get a 2,000-pound manhole cover that they bolt to the fucking bedrock to try to contain this blast to get the readings from it. And then, for some reason, for science, they also got a high-speed camera, the best one they could get at the time, pointed it at it. And the nuke went off again. The safety mechanism did not work. And what had happened was, with a nuclear explosion, it gets so hot so fast that it vaporized the concrete instantly and created super hot gas, which rapidly expands, essentially turned the planet into a fucking potato gun, and proceeded to yeet that manhole cover about 155,000 miles an hour. That's the minimum speed, because they only captured the manhole cover in one frame of the high-speed camera. So they were able to do the math on, to not be in 2 frames, it had to have been traveling, I believe it was 155,000 miles an hour.
Let's recreate it.
Started an intergalactic war because that manhole cover, it's still going somewhere out there in the cosmos.
There's definitely left atmosphere.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that was gone.
There's a debate in science as to
this is
whether
the math
or not,
you guys are talking about. Yeah.
America put the first man-made object into outer space, being this manhole cover, before the USSR did Sputnik.
Yeah.
And they argue over whether or not it burnt up in the atmosphere or not. But
no, fuck no.
You did the math. It was a second to break out of the atmosphere, moving at that speed. And it's like, I don't know if it had enough time to burn up.
And most of it turned into like just a molten slug.
That's got to be
going right towards Mars or something.
That's easily Mach 40 or 80, because I mean the Kármán line, which is the notionally agreed upon like edge of space, is 100 kilometers up.
I want to hear about it.
The Devil Duck?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a Marine. You'll love this story. I'm
an ex-Marine.
In the 1940s, a young Marine was in the Netherlands getting ready to go into the Pacific Theater to fight. And in the Netherlands, he was at a bar and they were playing poker. And the Marines won all the money from the locals. And the locals were like, fuck it, here's my prize duck. And put it in the middle of the table. He's like, all right, I'm going to win this duck. So he wins a duck. E4, E3, Lance Corporal, somewhere right around there, right? And he's like, I got this fucking pet duck now. Obviously, he brings it with him. Okay, he brings this duck with him. This duck participates in 4 amphibious landings in the Pacific.
Holy shit.
Including the amphibious landing of Tarawa, which is like one of the deadliest battles in the Pacific of World War II.
The duck survived?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
He ends up getting the rank of sergeant. Sergeant Seawash is his name. This fucking duck. Okay. Makes it. Goes through multiple amphibious landings. Apparently, I swear to God, like I have the sources, I have the Time news articles and the drawings. The duck got in a fight with the Japanese rooster during one of the amphibious landings and beat this Japanese rooster in a fight and ended up getting a military medal for going toe-to-toe with this Japanese rooster.
Fuck you, you rooster fuck.
And then fucking survives, makes it all the way through World War II with the Marines.
Wow.
Doing multiple amphibious landings. Ends up, they give it to, I forget which zoo it was off the top of my head, but it lived the rest of its life in a zoo. But it was
made it to the States.
Yeah, made it back to the States. It was drinking booze with the Marines all the time, right?
Of course.
Oh
and like there's pictures of this duck drinking beer with the Marines while the Marines are hitting on like women. There's literally pictures of this dude in his dress uniform. The duck's drinking booze while he's hitting on like 3 girls. I do believe this is the first historical record of a wingman, though, as far as picking up women. It's going to be hilarious. He ended up dying of liver complications, and the Marine Corps, I have the newspaper article.
Drinking.
The Marine Corps had to release an official statement at the time in like 1949, 1950, somewhere right around there when the duck died. They had to release this official statement from the Marine Corps that the liver complications that Sergeant Seawash had are not related to the excessive amount of drinking with the Marine Corps. And then they had him stuffed, and allegedly he's in the museum in Virginia.
In Quantico there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your favorite story you've done with?
I like McNasty personally.
Jake McNasty.
Jake McNasty McNeese. He's a paratrooper from. Have you ever seen like that old World War II footage of the dude right on D-Day getting ready and he's painting him?
Yeah,
and his
yeah,
guy's
yeah.
face? That's Jake McNasty.
With the mohawk?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Jake McNasty. And that dude, he was a fuck up all through. He didn't have to go to World War II because he was a firefighter, and he's like, I want to go fight anyways. So then he went, some small town in Ponca City, Oklahoma, and just like went and beat the fucking shit out of his high school bully, like almost to death, and then went and joined the military the next day so he didn't get in trouble for it. I think it was just a huge fuck up all through training, always got in trouble, beat up a couple MPs multiple times. And he was such a fuck up, they stuck him in his own platoon by himself. And then
sounds like the dream.
Yeah. So then they like just keep giving him more fuck ups, and then he just like builds this platoon that ends up being the Filthy 13. This platoon of fuck ups, and they're all combat engineers, and they're all super badass at their jobs. They're just not controllable.
It's like the Dirty Dozen.
Well, that's what it's based off of. The Dirty Dozen movie is
it's based off of
him
story?
and off of the Filthy 13.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. So they dropped him in on D-Day, and those guys were supposed to go hold this bridge that was going to be able to reinforce Utah Beach. And he loses all of his guys, and it's just him. And he starts picking up stragglers, like amasses 40 dudes, takes them to this bridge, and they hold it for like 3 days. Reinforcements never show up. And then a bunch of P-51 Mustangs come in, blow up the bridge because they figured that he was dead and that he didn't get it and hold it, so they were going to get rid of the bridge altogether. So now he's just defending this big, creek, river thing on one side, and an entire battalion of SS Germans showed up and told him to move, and he said no. And him and 38 random paratroopers took out an entire SS battalion. And then he then he jumped in on Operation Market Garden, cleared out Eindhoven and the entire town. Him and his guys did that. And then he's
while saving 5 eggs.
While saving 5 eggs, yeah. He's going through Eindhoven, right? And he talks about how they didn't have CQB like you guys did today. He's like, yeah, we just throw in a frag grenade and then crawl in on our hands and knees with a Tommy gun because the buildings had so much dust and shit on them you couldn't see. So they cleared a whole city that way, and he goes into this furniture making factory and he finds a chicken. This chicken laid 6 eggs, and you can't get fucking eggs on the front line in World War II. So he's like, I'm taking these fucking eggs. So he sticks them in his cargo pockets. He's trying not to break the eggs while he's clearing rooms. They make it all the way through the city. And then they're like, cool, we're done. And then a fucking bunch of German tanks roll out of the wood line. And they're like, fuck. So they go and they got to take out like 6 German tanks. He ends up breaking 1 of the eggs. He saved the other 5. From there, he's like, From there, he falls back to France, and he gets put on 72 hours of leave, and he's like, fucking, I'm going to Paris to get booze. His officer tries to stop him. He's like, you have 72 hours leave. It's a fucking 4-day trip to get to Paris. And you really think in 72 hours you're going to get to Paris, have a bender, and get back? And he's like, I don't know, but I'm willing to try. He's like, so he goes AWOL for like 19 days, gets hammered, gets fucking arrested. They bring him back, and his chain of command's like, hey, we want you to be a Pathfinder. And in World War II, a Pathfinder had a 80% attrition rate for 1 mission. Every mission they'd drop a Pathfinders in on, they needed 2 Pathfinders and 1 set of gear. They would drop 10 Pathfinders and 2 sets of gear just because that's what it took to give the mission a chance because that many people died.
That's insane to think you're signing up for that.
But it was voluntary basis only, so they couldn't make him do it, but they told him they wanted to. And he's like, they just wanted to get me killed. They didn't want to deal with me anymore. So he's like, but hear me out. Pathfinder school is in, I forget the town in England, but it's where, what's the Ivy League college in England?
Oxford?
Oxford. Yep. It's the same town that Oxford was in, and all the boys were off fighting a war. So Oxford was just full of college chicks.
Oh my god,
and
this guy's a genius.
Dude, in his book, he's like an 80-year-old man, and he's like, it was a mighty fine opportunity to get some postgraduate work in. Is what he fucking said.
Guy's a genius.
So he goes.
Everyone's playing checkers. This guy's playing chess.
So he goes. He's banging all these Oxford chicks. He's going to Pathfinder school. He ends up graduating top of his class, and he like assembles this dream team because they put him in charge again. And
this is he's getting paid as an E8.
He's an acting E8 getting paid as an E2. That was another part of the story.
Well,
paratroopers.
That's bullshit.
Paratroopers in World War II, because he was 101st, they all got bumped up to PFC after 30 days of training just to try to get these guys money because they're jumping into fucking Normandy. He was such a fuck up. He was the only guy that they kept at E2 the entire time. So he goes, he gets his Pathfinder certification. He thinks the war's over. And then there's like, oh, shit. Battle of the Bulge happens. And the 101st is surrounded by a bunch of Nazis. And they need Pathfinders to jump in and call in supply drops. And they send in him and his team. And they end up getting all these supply drops sent in. It was a shit ton of supply drops they called in. And ended up like being a huge part of why the Battle of the Bulge saved the 101st Airborne, his unit that was trying to get him killed. And then he did one more jump in, not Prague, it's a name like that. One more combat jump. He did 4 combat jumps in World War II. And then he ends up with his unit going and taking over, not Rommel. Who's the other head Nazi guy? It's like the right-hand man.
No, I know who you're talking about.
The political version.
Heinrich Himmler.
Heinrich Himmler.
Yeah, Heinrich Himmler.
He ends up. They end up going to Heinrich Himmler's fucking castle, where all the art and shit got taken. Well, apparently Heinrich Himmler was a huge fan of horses, right? So he had like all the thoroughbred, like the top racing horses from every fucking country the Nazis had taken over and had them sent to his castle. Now the 101st guys are just getting fucking hammered, riding them around town, just doing dumb shit.
God bless America.
This has to fall over. Okay, yeah.
101st is fucking sitting there dicking off with, fancy art, ancient fucking wine from the bottoms of castles and shit, just get hammered, riding $1 million horses. And they're like, fuck it, let's go into town and put on a rodeo for all the Germans. So that's what they did. They're putting on a rodeo with all these fucking horses. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. Like a couple horses, they died. I didn't put that in my video because that was mean. But like they're riding some of these fucking horses to death and all kinds of dumb shit. So then
I love, just for reference, Evan just told the story last week's episode about when they were taking the Saddam Hussein's kids. Was it Hussein? They were going to those castles and taking those. And then they'd get to it and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, they got Formula One cars and Ferraris. You want to go rip in them?" And they would just be ripping. The SF guys would be just ripping around in Formula One cars in Baghdad. I'm like, it's exactly the same thing. Hilarious. Nothing changes.
So at the rodeo, he meets this girl. I think her name was Emma. I forget her last name. But he meets this girl. They end up hooking up and dating for the rest of the time he's in country. Well, this girl is the daughter of the Hitler for Youth chapter of that town. Basically, literally found the closest thing he could to a Nazi princess and fucks her the rest of the time he's in Germany.
Hey, this guy's batting 1,000.
Then he goes back home and fucking becomes a mailman and just fucking retires.
How do you become a mailman? Obviously, he probably did it to keep his federal retirement, I'm assuming.
No. So when he first came back, because he was such a huge fuck up, he had part of his ear got blown off in one of his missions, and they sent him to get like plastic surgery. Apparently, it was like hanging, so they wanted to get it like reattached, and they sent him to some base stateside after the war, and he showed up to the base, and he had an issue with the MPs. And he told the head MP on the base that he was going to kick his fucking ass. And that guy said, you know, whatever, get your treatment, leave. Don't ever come back if I see you. We're going to have a problem. And he's like, no, you're going to have a problem because if I ever come back to this shithole town, I'm going to be a civilian and I'm going to beat the fuck out of you. And they chaptered him out right there on the spot, kicked him out. And then he tried to go and be a smoke jumper, a wildlife firefighter, where they jump out of the fucking planes. Yeah. And they're like, no, you're 25. You're too old. He's like, dude, I got 4 fucking combat jumps in World War II. They're like, nah, not interested. So he worked construction for a little while, had alcohol problems, got over those, what? Then became a mailman.
What? It's like it's a reoccurring thing.
I mean, I just feel like
we drink.
I feel like the perfect end of that story would be he becomes a mailman, and then he goes postal.
What?
God damn it!
He's the one with the dad
all
jokes.
the stories bleed into themselves.
Well, what's crazy is getting hit up post, and it was people like, "Holy shit, that was my mailman." I did not realize
that was cool shit. I was getting emails and there's comments in that video like, Mr. McNeese was my mailman my entire childhood. I had no idea that my mailman was like this fucking badass.
Dude, that's crazy.
That's fucking wild.
I mean, there's a serious thing about this, though, which is that type of person is just not tolerated in the military anymore. And I think there's a real problem with that.
I don't think they ever are, though. Like, I don't think they ever are until, like, shit hits the fan and they're like, okay, well, now we're going to loosen up restrictions and allow it until we get shit under control and then we're going to kick everybody out.
You're right.
When I came in 2009, granted, this is after your time and maybe your time. I don't know. It's fucking
Nick's young.
Yeah.
Y'all are young bucks. It sucks.
I had a 9-year PFC. This guy named
Holy
Satter,
shit.
I think was his name. We called him Big Bird. He was like 6 foot 1,000 fucking, but he's a really good mechanic and like he just didn't give a fuck about the rules and he would like get drunk at work. Really, really, really good at his job. So like they never kicked him out, but he'd had like 7 Article 15s and he was a 9-year PFC. The dude just like work his ass off and then just at like 17:30 they'd be like, we need this done. He was like, go fuck yourself, and he just roll out. Like this dude was just a legend. I love Satter, man. Great people, but just like you said, they're not really. Even now, they're not accepted and really haven't ever been accepted because they're just on the fringe.
I can't imagine being a decade in a job and you're like, clearing $1,800 this month. Popping those knuckles, like, bro.
But on the positive side, I make so few dollars that I don't pay any taxes.
Yeah, I'm winning, actually.
I'm making under 24,000 a year or whatever the number is.
Holy shit.
So yeah, that's what I do. I just dig up history.
Dude, that's awesome.
And he's so good at delivering it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was here for it. I was just like,
well, I mean, what I work in right now literally is storytelling, and you are a great storyteller. Nice. And that's but what you said I think is very important, which is taking information that's out there and maybe no one really, it's not common knowledge, and then turning it into something entertaining enough, as you stated, that is also teaching people. And I don't think there's enough people doing that nowadays. Like film used to do that, and now it's just like freaking
fuck up
now we're
Napoleon.
just changing the direction of a torpedo on ice.
Was that fucked up? I haven't heard anything about the new Napoleon.
I'm
I just
so
heard
fucking mad about that movie. It's not
I
even
read the
funny.
reviews. I haven't seen it yet,
It's
but when I read the
worst
reviews, I
movie
was
I've
a
seen
little
in my life.
Damn.
So I think there's a couple directors that have Final Cut now, and then you see like the side effect when no one tells you no.